Hurricane Beryl weakened slightly on Tuesday into a Category 4 storm as it pushed further into the Caribbean Sea, homing in on Jamaica and triggering warnings in advisories across Haiti, the Dominican Republic and the Cayman Islands. In Palestine, the Zionist occupation army orders a new exodus of Khan Yunis residents after days of continuous siege. And in India, authorities reported near 100 people dead and many more injured after a stampede at a religious gathering of thousands of people. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Hurricane Beryl weakened slightly on Tuesday into a Category 4 storm as it pushed farther into the Caribbean Sea, homing in on Jamaica and triggering warnings and advisories across Haiti, the Dominican Republic and the Cayman Islands. The Beryl made landfall on Carico Island in Grenada as a Category 4 on Monday with 150 meters per hour winds, causing at least 3 deaths and devastating Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The storm then regained strength over the Caribbean Sea, and on Monday night it became the earliest Category 5 hurricane on record. Beryl had maximum sustained winds of 155 kilometers per hour and will remain a powerful hurricane as it moves on westward path this week. On Wednesday, Beryl is expected to bring life-threatening winds and storm surge to Jamaica. The storm is predicted to pass near the Cayman Islands on Thursday. As the storm also approaches Haiti, the United Nations spokesman Stefan Dujarric stated the organization is taking measures to assess the country and provide assistance to the Caribbean nation.
UN agencies are, of course, standing ready to assist and have already taken anticipatory measures. For example, the World Food Programme in Haiti is preparing to assist local authorities if the need arises. Immediate assistance would be in the form of locally sourced hot meals and distribution of high-energy biscuits, followed by food distribution and cash-based assistance. The hurricane season, which started on June 1st and runs through the end of November, could aggravate the living conditions of millions of Haitians who are already caught in a complex humanitarian crisis, as you know, marked by violence, food insecurity, and poor access to the most basic of social services.
In Venezuela, heavy rains and floods associated with Hurricane Beryl have affected the state of Sucre following the flooding of the Manzanares River. In this regard, the sectoral vice president for citizen security, Remigio Ceballos, reported that in the municipality of Manzanares, 2 people died and 5 people are missing. Ceballos emphasized that the efforts will be directed towards guaranteeing medical attention, the supply of food, drinking water, medicines and household goods to the affected families. As the hurricane continues to wreak havoc in the Caribbean and north of Venezuela, in the state of Sucre, there are currently a total of 6 communities that have been reportedly affected by heavy rains and flooding. In this context, the National Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology of Venezuela informed that the center of Hurricane Beryl is moving to the northwest of the country. According to the National Hurricane Center, Beryl is moving with winds of about 270 kilometers per hour, and the rains could intensify on Thursday afternoon, especially in the coastal area of the country. Likewise, authorities assured that by the evening hours of the Venezuelan national territory should be out of the area of impact of Hurricane Beryl.
Well, the damage assessment, needs analysis we have been doing so far. We can unfortunately say that we have 2 people dead, 5 people missing, and we are in permanent and direct search. At this moment, we are also attending to all the neighboring populations. We are talking about 25,000 people affected by the rain that directly caused the rupture of the pipes, but we are moving forward. We have precise instructions from our president, well, all the government team, and our executive vice president. We are moving forward.
The Minister of Interior Relations, Justice and Peace of Venezuela, Remigio Ceballos, affirmed that the situation is under control after the passage of Hurricane Beryl and they are evaluating the damages to take care of them immediately.
And the passage of the hurricane, which is already very close to the north of about 450 kilometers north of the state of Falcon, on the way to Jamaica and continues as a Category 5 towards Central America. That is to say that the hurricane has left atmospheric instability and that will generate rains. At this time we keep under control. The situation is under control and we are in the damage assessment phase.
And in Grenada, the Government Information Service issued a press briefing with Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell as Hurricane Beryl moves away from the country. The Prime Minister sadly announced 2 deaths so far while the recovery phase is ongoing.
The situation is grim. There is no power. There's almost complete destruction of homes and buildings on the island. The roads are not passable, and in many instances they're cut off because of the large quantity of debris strewn all over the streets, and obviously the danger posed by down power lines. Minister Andrews has tentatively reported at least 2 deaths as a result of the passage of Hurricane Beryl. The possibility that there may be more fatalities remains a grim reality, as movement is still highly restricted because of the fact that the gas stations are also completely destroyed. It is difficult to get fuel to even the heavy equipment operators for them to begin any clearing of the roadway. So mobility on the island itself is heavily restricted. The Met Office still has in place a marine advisory against small craft. And so, although we had planned at 6 a.m. for both Coast Guard craft to depart to Carriacou, we have not been able to do so as yet because of that marine advisory.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. The story is coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Haitian government, with the support of law enforcement officials, regained control of the Interior Ministry in Port-au-Prince. Prime Minister Gary Conille issued the security measures aimed at recovering control of the territorial communities. The Prime Minister reported that the actions took place in the presence of a magistrate. Conille assured that they are working to start damage assessments and repairs necessary to restore the activities at the ministry with sustainable conditions for its functioning. The illegal U.S. blockade against Cuba also affects the United Nations performance in that country. According to the testimony of the United Nations resident coordinator in Cuba, Francisco Pichon, the aggressive U.S. policy against the country makes the acquisition of supplies more expensive and prevents regular contracting and banking operations. The United Nations program on Cuba prepares a briefing every year for the Secretary General Antonio Guterres. For its construction, the mission has conducted a series of visits and meeting, where the progress of many of the initiatives is evident against all odds thanks to the country's commitment.
The rising cost of inputs, restrictions on suppliers to which we have access, restrictions on financial systems that we cannot access because of U.S. financial restrictions, huge challenges in terms of access to information communication technologies. All these areas have an impact on the operations of the UN system, but obviously the issue of access to development funding is one of the major barriers created by external sanctions.
Pedro Pierluisi, governor of Puerto Rico, announced on Monday the call for a new referendum on the political status of the island to be held on November 5th, coinciding with the general elections. In his remark, Pierluisi stressed the importance of Puerto Rico continuing to exert pressure and reiterating its right to self-determination to be a free country that does not obey U.S. federal laws. This new referendum represents a crucial step on the road to resolving Puerto Rico's political status, an issue that has generated debate and discussions for decades. With the date set for November 5th, Puerto Rican citizens are expected to actively participate in this important consultation that will define the political future of the island. The judiciary of Peru ordered the immediate reinstatement of magistrates Aldo Vázquez and Inés Tello as members of the National Board of Justice. The first constitutional chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice of Lima declared both magistrates' immunity request as being substantially founded. It ordered that they be immediately reinstated in their positions as members of the National Board of Justice. The resolution was disclosed on Monday, 4 months after the Congress disqualified them from public office for 10 years. According to the court, the resolutions that declared the disqualification of the two magistrates are inapplicable. The Israeli occupation army has been besieging thousands of civilians in Khan Yunis for several days while they ordered a new exodus of its residents. In this sense, the zionist government of Tel Aviv resumed a new wave of forced displacement of the residents of Gaza towards the central and western areas of that region, including the area of Al-Mawasi, despite it being one of the most bombed areas. In this regard, recent reports from the United Nations highlighted that in the last few days, about 84,000 people have been displaced in the Gaza Strip following the new escalation of bombardments. Israel's genocidal operation in Gaza continues, aggravated by the threat of an imminent famine and the continued obstruction of humanitarian aid by the Zionist forces.
Our lives are like this. We and our children do not sleep. For me, I have been displaced here for 9 months, and every couple of days we rescue wounded and retrieve bodies. This is our daily routine.
Following Israel's evacuation order for areas such as Khan Yunis, doctors have been forced to leave Gaza's European hospital, one of the last functioning medical facilities in the city. In this context, the health center's medical staff denounced that the order puts patients and displaced Palestinians in grave danger, since mobilizing them is extremely difficult due to the long-term nature of their injuries and the high cost of transportation and lack of fuel. It is worth noting that according to the enclave's health ministry, at least 37,925 people have been killed and 87,141 wounded as a result of the Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip since last October.
The situation is self-explanatory, as you can see. Unfortunately, yesterday, like the rest of other areas, we were instructed to evacuate the hospital. So people began to leave, but a few patients remained because they were unable to evacuate without assistance, and the ambulance was also unable to transport them because we were busy yesterday, until 1 a.m., moving equipment to preserve them so that they don't get damaged like in other hospitals.
We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Final short break, don't go away.